Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm very glad to have you here today as well. Like I said in my previous video, we are going to take it one by one, all the requirements you need for your visa processing when it comes to the proof of funds. So this one is going to be on the formal obligation letter. And then I have a very wonderful guest here that I would like him to introduce himself. So bro, welcome to Up Voice TV.
Thank you very much, Francis. I'm very happy to be here. First of all, I would like to commend you for the good job you are doing with regards to the dissemination of information regarding studying abroad, specifically in Germany. I think it will help a great deal. So, my name is Emmanuel Aduwahine. I'm originally from Ghana. I studied my bachelor's in dramatic engineering in the University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, UST. And in 2016, I moved to Germany to study my postgraduate program at the Freiburg University of Mining and Technology, where I pursued my Master of Business Administration, focusing on environmental and resource management. So currently, I'm working as an international project officer for European Union funded projects, basically focusing on sustainability and digitalization projects. So in a nutshell, that is a little bit about me.
Wow, bro, that's great. It's a wonderful profile, and then I hope that everyone watching would be wanting to achieve same in future or then. So I'm very happy to have you here once again. I'm very happy to have you. So let's move straight to the questions. Since did you bring formal obligation letter here, or you came to Germany through a different means?
So yes, so when I received my admission at the Freiburg University of Mining Technology for
Okay.
my master's program, my means of livelihood or my proof of secured funds was
Okay.
through this formal obligation letter, which
Okay.
in German we call the Verpflichtungserklärung.
Okay.
So basically, in simple terms, the Verpflichtungserklärung is a document that is used as a proof of secure funds
Okay.
to get a German visa. So, for example, the host or the person who issues this formal obligation letter by signing it is sort of pledging to the foreign authorities here in Germany that they are going to cover your entire livelihood. So, for example, your accommodation, your medical bills, your feeding, and stuff like that related to your visit.
Wow.
So, I would like to say there are two types of formal obligation letters.
Okay.
There is a formal obligation letter for short stay,
Wow.
which normally is for the Schengen visa,
The
it's up
Schengen
to 90
visa.
days.
Okay.
And then we have a formal obligation letter for long stay,
Okay.
which is normally applied towards people who are applying for national visas, so
Okay.
stays that are longer than 90 days.
Okay.
I think it's important to make this distinction, and since our content or our discussion today is basically focused on studies,
Studies.
we
Yeah.
are going to focus on the formal obligation letter, which
Sure.
is related to the long stay,
long
which
stay.
is the national visa.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, who qualifies to be a host? As you mentioned in your, yeah, that's a host. Who qualifies to be a host? Can a student like myself? I'm a student. Can I be a host for someone who is coming? Because friends are calling, and then they are saying, "I know you in Germany. You can do it for me." So, who qualifies to be a host? Yeah.
Okay. That's a good question. So there are certain criteria that one has to meet in order to qualify to host someone.
Okay.
The first qualification is, or the first thing that precondition you have to look at is that your visit plans must be clear.
Okay.
So, for example, your arrival and your departure must be clear from the onset.
Okay.
So, what do I mean by this? When you receive an admission letter, you have the start of your program, and then you have how long your program is going to last.
Sure.
So that is for 2 semesters or up to 4 semesters.
Sure.
So I think that is already covered by the admission letter, so you can retrieve that information from there.
Okay.
The second precondition or qualification, which is important, is that the host must be financially competent to be meaning he or she must be able to prove
Okay.
that they have enough income to support the
Okay.
person they are trying to host.
Okay.
One also other important precondition here is that you must have a registered address
Okay.
or must be a legal resident here
Legal
in Germany
resident. All right.
to qualify to apply for the formal obligation letter.
Okay.
So, in coming back to your question, because
Yeah.
you are a student,
Sure.
and for example, proving your living might not because you work part time
Yeah.
and you have limited hours where you work in a month, right? So, a student might not necessarily qualify to apply for formal obligation or take that responsibility
Okay.
of the entire livelihood for another person.
Okay.
So, I think depending on which um, criteria that or which sometimes, for example, the people at the Ausländer Behörde
Okay.
or the people where the authorities might ask more in regards to this. But I guess for the qualification in general, these are the three main things.
Okay.
So the objectives of your visits in terms of your visit plans, your financial competency, and having a legal and registered address here in Germany.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I think you have answered part of my next question. I don't know whether you have answered all or parts. What I was going to ask the requirement for this obligation letter, what the host needs in order to gain this letter for the one who is coming. Yeah.
Okay, so there are certain requirements that you need to
Yeah.
provide
Okay.
when you want to make an application for this formal obligation letter.
Okay.
The first one is you have to fill out the formal obligation application form.
Okay.
Um, the second one is the host must have a valid passport or national ID.
Okay.
So if they are German natives, so they have to provide their German passport. And if, for example, they are permanent residents, that would be their national ID.
Okay.
The third important requirement will be the approval of legal residence, which I briefly touched on when you
Yeah.
asked me about the precondition.
Sure.
And here they must be able to prove that they are legally registered in Germany with an appropriate address, especially in their district or in their city where they might be making this application. So they must
Okay.
be a resident in the place where they are going to make the application
Okay.
from. Um, Regarding the proof of sufficient income,
Yeah.
which is the next important step, here there are some requirements that they might need to prove in terms of some documents that they might need to provide.
Okay.
One, they have to provide a salary statement
Okay.
for the last 6 months.
All right.
Secondly, they have to provide their contract of employment.
Okay.
Thirdly, they have to provide a formal letter from their employer, which proves that at the time of application for this formal obligation letter,
Okay.
they are employees
All right.
at this organization or in their
Okay.
organization,
Okay.
right? These are the general requirements for someone who is an employee.
Okay.
Let's keep in mind that the formal obligation letter can also, um, someone who is, for example, self-employed
Okay.
or owning a business can also apply for this letter. So it's not only someone who is an employee,
Okay.
a self-employed person or a business can also apply for this letter on behalf of their friend or their relative.
Okay.
And when it comes to the self-employment and the people who run or have businesses here in Germany, they might have to provide additional documents. For example, in their case, they might have to provide their registration certificates,
Okay.
and sometimes they might have to also provide this existing business evaluation, which sort of assesses their profits and their costs,
Okay.
right? So, in general terms, these are the requirements that the host might need for this application when they want to apply for the formal obligation letter.
Okay.
Last but not the least, it depends also on the city and the state you are in. Sometimes you will be asked to also provide an identity and the admission letter of the person
of the
that you are
person.
trying to host.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. So, can a pensioner, like someone on pension, can the person take? Because you're saying someone who works and then, let's say, self-employed. So, someone on pension in Germany here, can the person take this obligation letter
So
for?
good question. So it
Yeah.
all depends on the assessments from the foreign authorities,
Okay.
because the basic idea here is that they have to assess your your cost per month,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then assess if you have extra funds to cater
Yeah.
for someone.
Yeah.
So if you have a very good pension income
Yeah. Yeah.
that is sufficient enough for yourself,
Okay.
your family, and then you have extra that can cover someone else,
Yeah.
that would work.
Okay. Okay.
But if, for example, your pension is only sufficient for yourself and your family, uh, and there is no extra allowance to cater for someone, then it is at the derogatory of the foreign authorities to assess your application and see if they can grant you this formal obligation letter. But it really depends on your costs or
Okay.
your expenses in a month. For
Okay.
example, if you are also married, in some cases, they might also require the salary statements, or
Okay.
sometimes also the income of your spouse as well.
Okay. Wow.
Inquire about the number of children you have. So they factor all of these into their assessment and sort of see if you are eligible to host someone.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So, assuming someone qualifies to be a host, he or she has met all the requirements. Where does he or she gain this letter? From where do we
Good.
get this letter? Yeah. Where does he go for the letter?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the letter is mostly applied at the immigration office
Okay.
or the foreign office in
Yeah.
the host's resident city.
Okay.
So they have to make this application in their cities where they live, at the immigration office or at the foreign authority, what we normally call the Ausländerbehörde
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Germany. And
Yeah.
normally, before they can do that, they have to make an appointment either via email or via call. And they have to sort of discuss this criteria that we discussed earlier. So they might go through some assessments
Okay.
before they are allowed to have this appointment, and then they can go and make the application at the Ausländerbehörde.
All right. All right. Okay.